We got Queasy, Swizzy, and Merstach winning the second divisional cup of this season in the lead up to Global Championships. 2 wins out of 6 games. So let's jump in and see what their strats are. We already know, if you watched last week's video covering some of the drop spots, they are landing at the Hive uncontested. My brain is going to say they're going to sit on top and Surge base on top of the towers and Surge trade for like 4 zones. So if that's true, we'll skip. Now, very early on, we do see Queasy go right up on top of one of the bases. Multiple reasons for this. I think it's easier to get elims onto the queen when they spawn, because although the medallions and mythics and things have been removed from casual, up until Global Championships, all the medallions are still in the game. So actually playing for the medallion still makes sense right here. Also, from up here, it's very easy just to get all of the eliminations onto like the other bugs, onto the spawners and all that stuff to actually get your rank up to get the queen to spawn. Plus, you can check if other players are sneaking. So even if you're not going to surge base and you're dropping in this part of the map, this drop spot and this like kind of crank up onto the very high bets, very, very useful. As you can see, super free. Merstach and Swizzy down below, still trying to fight the queen. Queasy up top, spraying, keeping an eye out, and boom, they've already got the medallion. No one snuck on them, which if you played a bunch of ranked, you know happens a ton. Now they get their B crates, which gives you crash pads, which is super useful. So being able to rank up, get your rank up at least quickly is useful, because if you notice that, like, if you played in the solo cash cups, surviving zones don't really give you that much hero rank. You need a few elims, or at least to farm some bugs to get up to get crash pads. You know, there's a lot of solos I've played so far where if you get no elims, don't do anything. It's like, well, I've just got no mobility now. So by making sure you at least get to B rank, you at least guarantee some form of crash pads going into like endgame later on. Unsurprisingly, this is probably how the rest of the game's gonna go. Who are we trading with right now? Who are we trading with? It is Kiro, Bevies, and Della they're trading with. Okay, either way, we know how the mid game's gonna go, so I'm gonna skip forward. Now, 4th zone, they managed to get 1,415 damage, which in comparison to what they were doing in grand finals, I think around average in grand finals was like 1,500 to 2k. Obviously, this is not like an F6 Grand Finals. It's a Division Cup. It's closer to a Cash Cup either way, so Surge is a little bit lower. But either way, still #1 on damage in this particular match. One thing I found interesting was actually the loadouts they decided to carry. So I covered this a lot last week. Queasy with no pump. Don't really need to. He's not getting in face. He's not getting in box. So you've got 2 weapons that you can do like long and medium range just for either surge damage or just for fighting. And then triple heal. Not a huge amount of mobility. Of course, Fizz is mobility in itself, but triple heal awesome. In particular, chug splashes to heal in storm if you need to. All 3 of them carrying caps chug splashes, which you get a lot from the Hive, from a lot of the spawners there. Swizzy with the gold slurps, which you get from the queen. Bigs. Basically, all of them have tons of heals. Like, the amount of heals that is spread across this team is actually truly insane. But they've also, like, not got capped mats. Like, 87, 76, and then 74. 76, 70. I know my numbers. Trust me, I know numbers. They've actually prioritized way more heals. Obviously, they've surge traded a bunch as well. Not carrying that much mobility, only actually being 5 crash pads for the full rest of the game. So I want to see how they end up actually, like, playing those out. They're not using a full 12 stack at all. Then as I say that, Queasy finds another Fizz, where they ended up dropping 3 bigs for? Yeah, 3 bigs for a Fizz. So, of course, in trios, Fizz can heal all 3 of your team, so it's effectively 300 shield rather than 3 bigs, which is 150. Plus, it's the mobility, well, in this kind of mid-game, for rotates extremely useful. And they make a very interesting rotate. Because they've got their early surge here, and obviously Zone is kind of pulling up to the north, they crash padded and then put an early focus into going all the way to resistance base. And that was because prior to this, they had around like 200 metal split across them. And of course, with like 1,500 metal cap across the whole team that you could possibly get, that is almost nothing. So from their drop spot, it is incredibly difficult to get. So they basically, almost regardless of what they do, they're going to have to rotate somewhere to grab their metal to reharvest. So especially come globals, they're really going to need to make sure they get a ton of early surge, because for Queasy's team, if they don't get early surge, then they're not going to have to like any time to go and harvest all this metal out anywhere. I don't know where else they could do it if they pull like a different zone. Like resistance base is like full of metal, so it's relatively easy to do it on a north zone. Obviously, I'm not going to check every game. I guess Shiny you could pretty easily. OXR is really good if you go this way, but I don't know how many people might be in storm in particular. It might be rough with the hills here. So yeah, it's interesting that because the drop spot's super strong for surge and for loot generally, the lack of metal means that they're going to have to slow down some point in the mid game come global championships. So interested in seeing how they like fix that problem in 12 of 12 games. I guess these little bases that spawn all the way around the map are also pretty good places to reharvest too. You know, there's one here. Oh, I'm gonna test my knowledge. I have played enough this season to know it. There's one here on Canyon where Veno's dropping. There's one down here in the corner. Those on the map. There's one here. Is that it? Is that the 4? Yeah, there's the 4, at least 4 of them. So there is actually, now that I think about it, quite a few metal POIs that they can rotate to harvest in, but it just kind of forces them to play a specific way if they want to end up actually getting cap materials to play out the end game. And for a team like Queasy, who puts so much focus into playing height, you need to make sure you have a good amount of metal. So yeah, getting fought here in the mid game, and I find it's actually interesting. Whilst I was talking about loadouts, I forgot to mention that not a single one of them carries a sentinel pump. Maybe that's just because they found or didn't find many good ones. I'll check because I'm going to watch a second game after this as well. But all three of them, every single one of them are carrying the pistol instead. And I guess for situations like this, when you're getting box fought and you can sit behind long peaks and you're playing slow and defensively, and you've already got a lot of surge, just being able to crack like 50, 50, 50 from that kind of distance is really important. So I do expect them not necessarily to just get straight in box, especially since they don't have the pumps. But yeah, we'll see. Again, they're not a team I would expect to WK a lot in the mid game. That was actually a problem they had last week. If you remember, I watched a little bit of the games last week. They did keep dying when they were getting into fights. That seems like something they've not done, at least in this first match yet. It's just to jump straight into box and milk a fight out. So where's that team going? Where are they off to? Why are they crash padding the opposite direction? They were here, by the way. Zone is pulled here. Why are these guys crash padding to dead side away from the storm? I know they're below surge, but like what was the plan over here? All right, they've got to know something we don't. They see Teeny's team miles away. They're trying to jump on his head or something. So they're like trying to jump on their head and then all just get beamed because they've just made a pretty bad crash pad. Okay, I see the vision, but I'll be honest. I mean, it clearly doesn't work out. Yep, they end up coming back and jumping straight in because they're low on surge. Swizzy gets a free elim. Yeah, Scary Sean goes down as well. A couple free refreshes. They literally cap mats now. 1.2k above surge. Max distance 7th zone rotate. So not the freest to go, but either way, they're set up extremely well. This is like, if you're a height team, this is the ideal situation. Maybe outside of the max zone, but in terms of like materials, heals, all that kind of stuff, like they're in such a good spot to win the game. All right, Fizz crash pad with the ramp to make sure you don't go too high. The worst thing you want to do is what Jarko's team did, basically, and just Fizz crash pad into the open and get freely beamed. By putting the cone above your head like that, you're able to actually just stay relatively low but keep the distance going really forward. Is that a mosquito? That's a mosquito. I'm gonna have to fight it. Same thing again. And then you can bunny hop, trying to dodge through the air as they rotate there as well, just to minimize the damage. And they took 0 damage there. So Fizz crash pad, is that the 2 of the 6 crash pads they had? 2 of the 5. Oh, Queasy has picked up more crash pads since. Okay, I take it back. So what I said earlier, Queasy has ended up picking up more crash pads. So they're not just going to run one single stack. So 2 Fizz crash pads basically makes 1 max distance rotate. So imagine in these scenarios, if you don't have a Fizz at all, and you're me playing solos, and you get a max distance 7th zone rotate, that's basically all of your crash pads wasted, rather than just doing 2 good Fizz crash pads to get that max distance rotate done. Or you could imagine if you just fly up into the sky and die. I would never do that. A little bit of lobby focus comes through. Queasy down. Ooh, actually fully dead as well. They've created a good amount of space. Swizzy instantly drops the layer below. So the body's actually still up. So Queasy is still there. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I thought they were still in the same layer. Okay, Merstach and Swizzy are going to have to put on a masterclass here. Queasy's still down. He's got the slurp pop, thank God. Queasy's managed to somehow get himself out of that box. They've got the double res down below. I imagine the slurp's going to go through crazy. The one slurp probably onto Queasy or into Merstach. Yep. Insta chug splash, just straight back up. Don't even need to use the slurp. Okay. Max distance zone again. I don't know if they had enough time to Fizz there. I didn't see. I think they did. But again, same style of rotates. Fizz, crash pad, cone, good low ground claim. Really good way to stay alive. Like the space creation, the layer changing to not fully milk. That's nuts. But now Merstach is down to 33 builds. Queasy's on 100. Swizzy's on 50. So like they're about half mats at this point in the game, which actually still isn't too bad coming into the 8th zone. But they're also absolutely nowhere near height, which is what they usually like to play. So let's see how they end up playing out the rest of the game from here. Fizz. I don't know what this guy's doing. He's just absolutely lost. But that's a free refresh, please. Did that guy have a lot of mats? Okay, that guy, I was gonna say that would be the freest game of all time if that guy was like stacked on mats, but no. Body to fight for as well. Yeah, again, getting lobby focused for the 2nd time in this game. Maybe a little too greedy, but now they did actually manage to get a good few mats out of that, so they're set up way better. All right, 8 crash pads coming into endgame. That is plenty. That's ones you can use to take height. That's plenty to use to rotate. First moving zone, the diagonal crash pad, same thing as before. Insta goes for the height take. I love that slide with the ramps. Good awareness to like see that absolutely no one was going up to height. Then using the momentum to fly up and grab it. Moneymaker coming up for height. Good block. Are they going to fight for it? Queasy goes up. Nope, they were just flying. Looking back is really important here because, of course, a lot of the times other teams will try to do the exact same thing. Now, one important note in this kind of meta is that creating a lot of space on height like this is really important. So, like, the width that they're playing height is super important because, remember, a lot of the teams down below, the way that they're going to try and take height is by using crash pads, right? Fizz, throw a crash pad, and then just vertically fly up. And the more space you create on height like this, the less chance that you're going to be able to, like, leave a space open. So there's more chance of them hitting into the bottom of you, if that makes sense. So, in a meta like this, we're playing players can like fly really high up with crash pads and things. The wider you build, the more you can block them out. So far, the zones have been very favorable. Basically just pulled one direction, pulled straight back. Now it's slightly going back in the same direction again. So a lot more mats saved. They still have a ton on height. Coming to the final moving zone, we get some activity now. Finally, Queasy stays up. So does Merstach. Swizzy starts to get down onto the walls. He has pretty minimal materials, but still his goal here is just to pressure as much as possible. Either way. See if we can pick up any limbs. Della goes down. He doesn't get too greedy. Doesn't jump straight down for it. Comeback, another one. Picked up as well. Pickaxe onto the back wall, see if we can get in. Blaha on the backside. Not his edit to go through. Can just jump straight in. Managed to wipe out another one. That's another team who can't heal off. Merstach is also down with him with the slide coin. Still has plenty of materials up there so he can cover up the space. No one can now crash pad up onto height. Is he 3v3? I think it's 2 teams left up remaining. I think it's Cringe's team. 1 knock down below as well. So as he drops down, nice 150 onto Assam. Merstach backside. Cringe is trying to heal off with a med mist, but it's a 3v1. Let's be real. There's absolutely zero chance he's managed to make that one out alive, and they win game number 1 of this event. I want to see game number 6 because they also won that one, but the zones pulled slightly differently, so I want to see how the kind of mid-game strat changes. If there's anything like major difference between one game and game number 6. Game number 1 and game number 6. Now this game, zone does pull completely east, so rather than pulling north, it pulls east. It's still not a bad zone. It's not like a full southeast zone or anything like that. They've transferred all of the heals up as per always, but this time rather than crash padding, they're going to use one of the big launch pads. I've covered this in a lot of my videos so far, so I'm actually interested in seeing where they go with it. If you fizz pad, I think you can usually get around 1100 meters at this height. I can't remember. Either way, you're above visual audio when you're up this high. So basically no one can even see you gliding. And as you're going up, it's so laggy most of the time that as you're flying up, because you're moving so fast, it's really difficult to get hit. It's basically like a guaranteed free rotate. So I'm interested in seeing where they're going. They've marked this area, which again, based on the last game, I'm sure they're going to need to go and grab some metal. I don't know if this is exactly where they're going to land. So let's see. Diving down. Instantly crash. Diving down and instantly crash padding is interesting. I guess they're going to play for the bunker. I actually have absolutely no idea. Because they are A ranked right now. It'd be strange to play with the bunker, especially when Tayson's team's already in there. Yeah, Tayson's team's already in there. Maybe they're going to go up here and reharvest. Yeah, they'll go up here and reharvest. Okay, because again, remember, you need to go somewhere and grab their metal. There will be a ton of spots around the map where they can get them. So similar to last game, they're just going to have to plan somewhere for every single mid-game rotate, depending on the zones. And it's actually smart. They waited until Tayson's team left the bunker and then have gone in afterwards. Now, there's always like extra loot and stuff in here if you really want. I mean, I say there's always extra loot, but I mean, they've kind of left them with pots and pans in here. But either way, there's almost always tons of metal. So for a team like Queasy, who really needs to go in and grab metal in the mid game somewhere, this is a good spot. Also, an extra launch pad in here. Now, there's almost always some launch pads in here. I don't know if they have like a high percentage chance of dropping from these OXR crates. I haven't actually checked that yet. But I swear every single time I rotate into one of these, there's a single pad left. I'm interested in seeing if they just like throw it down out here and use it for later rotates, but it doesn't seem like they are because they're just running away. I can confirm they do not, as they just hit the fizz crash pad to get into this next zone. Kind of classic Queasy strat at this point. 5th zone, build up on a hill. They're up somewhere high. They've got advantage. Use a bunch of brick. And then Queasy drops all his brick, and at that moment ends up going and refarming elsewhere just to make sure they stay capped. Very, very Queasy classic. Super Queasy classic. Another launch pad. No one wants to take it. Okay. Same thing again. It's every single kind of max distance partial. Fizz, edit the cone, rotate. Boom. Ah, do you know what we call this? Do you know what we call this strat? Right here. We call this the Tarzan strat. Covered this a long time ago in, well, chapter 5 videos. A lot of the masterclass stuff as well. Almost every single tree is more wood than it's worth even like building a couple walls, or in this case, a couple cones on. So if you're near a box, you can almost always just like create more space in wood and then reharvest the wood back and actually like benefit from it. You create more space and you also usually gain more material. So that's the Tarzan strat, called Tarzan because you go tree to tree. Another max distance 7th zone. So mid-game zones haven't been like super favorable to them whatsoever. Instantly fizz crash pads. So again, I kind of covered this in last week's video, but they were roughly in this spot here and they waited, or sorry, they're like around here or whatever. And as soon as that zone popped, they hit the fizz crash pad. So now they're ahead of all these teams. So like, look at the free rotate they have ahead of them. The previous zone was kind of like this. So it's like a full dead side rotate for them. Because they did it instantly and early, now all these teams are behind them, so there's no chance of those guys like sitting in front and holding them. Instead, obviously they can shoot them as they rotate here, but that early damage they take from this first initial rotate means that the rest of the rotate's free, as long as they don't get like fully cracked and then these guys like jump on their head. So early rotate, beautiful. Refresh, you can see a lot of the other teams are now going. Little chance to reharvest. Heal up. Same thing again. Another slide jump, I imagine. Yep, a little bit of server lag. Nothing new. Onto another spot where they can refarm yet again. So really nice mid-game rotates. They basically used, what, 2-3 fizz crash pads to get in there, and that was really it. And what do they still have for left for endgame? They still have 10 crash pads left, which is an insane amount. And now that they're in early, they can hold all those other players who are trying to do the exact same rotates that they did just there. Now, they're not too bad rotate for them. They kind of have to jump over everyone. So it's like max distance for them. I do wonder if they wait for the storm to open up a little bit. So when you use a single fizz crash pad, they can just go straight into the next zone without having to waste two. Crashes down, fizzes out, same rotate again. Are we seeing a little bit of height claim here potentially early? Yes, we are. Okay, nice early height claim for them as well. This is super, super early to claim it though. 8th zone, not even into the 9th zone. But they're only 245 above. So with everyone using crash pads a ton at this point in the game, it's very good if you get that height early and you can just get a bunch of easy tags using the revolver and of course ARing as well. And they've managed to connect to old builds up in here as well. So really good scouting from Queasy there. Here's the thing, the risk and the mat investment pays off because it pulls back over those old builds they were just in. And I really love the play here just to build in wood one layer above. Thing is, you never know if you're going to get snuck up on. And also this just is not really that high. So another team could crash pad up on you again. So by just building across in wood, just this 1 or 2 tiles higher here, you keep yourself a lot safer. And also you're technically, I was going to say, creating a little more space to avoid yourself getting crash pad on, but maybe that's not most important. But either way, extra safe. Similar to before, coming into the final moving zone, Merstach starts to drop down. Just insta on the top. Insta onto the walls. Going crazy. Swizzy also still up above. He's coming down now too. Queasy still holding height all the way up. Also got the duo just sitting spraying down below. The Stinger SMG in this scenario is so good too. In particular, that final moving zone, most people start to run out of hards. Like, you don't have any brick, you don't have any metal. Like, that thing just shreds through your wood. And if you're just sitting trying to tarp and there's a guy on height spraying you with it, very, very difficult to do anything. Swizzy spraying other angles. I like how they kind of... I'm not going to say they play like solos up on height, but they kind of do. Like, you've got Merstach dropping down below. Well, they've actually all gotten back together to heal potentially here. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure why. Kind of stop fragging. Oh, wait. Sorry, Queasy's way up still. Sorry, I'm totally lost. I thought they'd all gotten back together, but that's not true at all. Queasy's still way up, playing heal off with the 12 splashes. Merstach now up to 5 elims. The arm damage pick is also still up in this, and they could have won this. I think Queasy's team had to actually win the game in that elim there onto Darm. Basically, it was one of the things actually split out. Swizzy ends up dying in the backside of Storm. Merstach's gonna have to go a little crazier. Good beam onto Pix. Chasing him deep into Storm. I think he probably... I don't know if they know that that's him or not. Crash pad straight into the front side. Misses onto Pixie, but Pixie goes down. And I think Queasy's just going to have to go and play heal off with 12 splashes. Not sure anyone else has anything. Is he going to be able to go into a bunker? I don't know if he was hoping that bunker would still be there. Has no one opened that bunker yet? No one's opened this bunker the entire game. If he gets extra heals from this, that would have been so crazy if there was like extra heals in there. Because there's obviously all the barrels and stuff. That would have been some crazy good awareness to notice that that wasn't open. But yeah, didn't end up mattering. All right, looking at the leaderboard to wrap up EU week number 2. See how the globals teams are doing. Of course, Swizzy, Queasy, Merstach, 1, 2 elims, Pick, Deemish, and Darm. Also doing really well. I was wrong. They're not as close to winning by any means. 2 wins for them as well. Super good. They are contested come globals currently. So... this came out of an uncontested drop spot with enough Polish teams around them with a good surge trade with. Didn't actually watch it. I'm just assuming that's what happened. So the big performance from them. Looking good coming into globals. Who else? We got another top 10 for Mr. Savage's team. I think they were 7th last week off the dome, which was really good. 8th from Tayson. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. They bossed last week, if you watched Feroxy's, my video on Feroxy's team off spawn. They bossed them off spawn. This team, I think they were uncontested. I could be wrong. No, they were contested. I imagine they were contested again. Again, I didn't actually watch through the whole thing, so I'm just talking about leaderboards. Focus, 10th. I think that was better than last week. Vanya's team struggling to get into a top 10 again. iDrop's team and Cammy's team not doing quite as good. Who else do we have? We have Veno's team who really low down on the leaderboard. 26th from them. They only played 4 games. I don't know if they rage quit after that or something. I'm not entirely sure where that went wrong. Not the best day for them whatsoever. And then Feroxy's team are current FNCS champions. Did not even make it to the finals. So we have some interesting shakeups on the leaderboard. Queasy's team looking super strong this week at least. With 1 more week of Div Cups. If you're interested in NA, I'm going to upload another video on Poyo's team. I'm going to do this exact same video. Poyo's team. Then I'm going to cover NA. Peace. So subscribe. Peace. Whatever.